Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Desiree Cassell. I'm an orthopedic and pelvic floor physical therapist specializing in women's health, aka pelvic floor. I'm a wife, mom of 3, foodie, lover of all things movement and nature, and I'm super passionate about educating, empowering, and supporting other women like you to find and maintain balance throughout all aspects of their lives, without pain, pressure, or peeing their pants. And this is the Balanced Momtality Podcast, where we will talk about all things pelvic floor, your core, and optimizing your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum recovery, providing you with the knowledge and tools so that you can feel like the strong, playful, and happy mom that you and your family deserve. Now let's get you out of those pads and back to loving movement. Fill up your water, pop in those AirPods, roll out your mat, and let's connect. Before we start today's episode, just a quick disclaimer that anything mentioned in this podcast is not meant to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. If you have any questions or concerns about your healthcare needs, please seek the care of your medical provider. This is also a safe space where we will be talking about very sensitive but important topics, such as issues with peeing and pooping, relationships, and even sex. So if you have littles around, probably a good idea to pop those AirPods in. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hey, it's your host, Dr. Des, and we are back for another episode on the Pelvic Floor Core and More podcast. I hope you are enjoying your summertime, and this episode is going to be geared a little bit more for my pregnant and postpartum mamas because we are talking return to running. This is a topic that I think gets a lot of news, right? Like, oh, we want to return to running postpartum. Did you get cleared? Did you do all the steps? Like, don't do it too soon. And yet there are still a lot of people out there making the wrong decisions when it comes to returning to running. And so this episode is here to give you guys a little bit more guidance and a little bit of structure and also a little bit of thought process and a checkbox around, are you truly ready to run? Because it is not just the 6-week clearance. Just because you've been cleared at 6 weeks postpartum doesn't necessarily mean your body is ready to handle the demands of running. And it also doesn't mean your body is ready to handle the loads of weightlifting, of even carrying your baby and walking around. So again, I have episodes on the 6-week clearance. Go check it out because the reality is that checkup is not doing what you think. It is definitely not taking a look at that big picture of how your body is functioning. How can it stabilize? How can it manage pressure? How can it handle impact? Because those are the things that really truly guide you into that next level of activity and being quote unquote ready for it. The clearance that you're getting from your provider is simply saying you're not going to die if you go into this, right? If you start exercising again, you're not going to bleed out and die, because that's what the 6-week clearance is. It's making sure that you aren't still bleeding, that you're not having a lot of pain, and oh yeah, what birth control do you want? That's about it. So even if you're getting that internal assessment from your provider, it's a lot different than the functional movement assessment that you get from a pelvic floor PT. So not going to spend the whole time on this episode chatting about why everyone should get a pelvic floor PT assessment postpartum, because hopefully this episode in itself really guides you and helps you understand the importance of that check, because I do think every woman should get a postpartum screen from a pelvic floor PT, even if you got a C-section, because those muscles and that whole core system are not working the same anymore, and we really need to make sure we're layering the body with intensity and exercise and stress in an appropriate way that helps the body regain strength and stability and function, and doesn't overdo it where we're now looking at risk of prolapse and leaking and DRA, diastasis, or hernias, or hemorrhoids, because a lot of these issues might not be there during pregnancy, but can still show up postpartum, and jumping into activity too soon is a big cause of that, especially activity as intense as running, because running is so demanding on the body. It isn't just cardio. It requires strength, coordination, impact tolerance, pressure management, balance, And every stride you take is creating multiple times that force up your body, right? So as soon as that foot hits the floor during running, it's not like walking where your foot hits and your body is carrying your normal like 100 plus pound, 150 plus pound weight, right? When you're running, as soon as you hit the ground, that weight amplifies. So that impact is pushing, 3 to 4 times the weight up the chain. And this is where, especially with running, when you have most of the time your weight is on one foot, we really can see a lot of dysfunction show up if we don't have the right stability. And so again, 6 weeks is not a magic number. We use this 6-week mark because there is a tissue healing time on average of 6 to 8 weeks. So we want to get a sense around that time. How are things healing? Are you healed enough, again, in regards to tears and bleeding and things like that, to move your body, to start activity as normal, as they like to say. But a lot of people take this clearance as, oh, I can do anything as I used to. So I'm going to go try running again, or I'm going to go try weightlifting again, or I'm going to go try that HIIT class again, or I'm going to turn on that YouTube video and do some jumping jacks and cardio again because I just need to move my body. But this can be way too much too soon. And on the flip side of that, there's a lot of stuff you should be doing in those first 6 weeks to help build that stability and strength and core control so that when you get to the 6-week check, you can get into some bigger exercises and movement patterns. No, still not running. It is very rare that I end up having women cleared pretty close to that 6-week check for running. However, it has happened, but I do want to give you the reality that clearance at 6 weeks, again, is a medical clearance for tissues. It's not telling you your strength is restored. It's not telling you your endurance is restored. It's not telling you your scar tissue or your pelvic floor and fascia have recovered. And so with that being said, here are some signs that you might not be ready. And this is regardless of the 6-week check. Maybe you're 6 months postpartum. If you still have any of these symptoms, I highly encourage you to get on a coaching call with me, or come in one-on-one, or join my 12-week on-demand program, because inside Restore, I'm also walking you through the very beginning basics of core engagement and breath and reconnection, all the way through to running in high impact, with some manual therapy strategies sprinkled in, some wand and internal pelvic floor release tools sprinkled in, and some nervous system regulation and nutrition tips sprinkled in. So the 12-week Restore program might be for you. But if you're also having some of these symptoms and you're feeling too worried, like, oh, but I don't know, when I do exercise, it doesn't feel good, then that's when I think coaching and getting on a one-on-one is very beneficial with me. But also, just to note, inside of Restore in the 12-week program, you do also still get direct access to send me pictures, send me videos, talk to me one-on-one. So you are still getting individual coaching. But let's dive into these symptoms. So some more of these red flag symptoms that you want to be aware of. And if you're having, we definitely want to be cautious as we're going into exercise, is leaking. Obviously, if we're peeing, guys, that is not normal. If we're leaking with anything, sneezing, coughing, on the way to the bathroom, in the shower, whatever it is, if it's not voluntary and you're leaking, that's a problem. So peeing, right? Peeing, leaking, this is a problem. Pelvic pressure. So any pressure in the pelvic floor, any heaviness, feeling like prolapse symptoms, or maybe you feel and see tissue coming through the vaginal opening, that's a problem. We definitely don't want to start running if we're feeling risk of prolapse. But also even just like back pain, hip pain, feeling unstable. Maybe you notice abdominal coning or doming and you want to make sure that, that could be diastasis. And if we go run, we might not have the core stability and we could make that worse. We could also cause diastasis. So if you are having any pain, you're peeing at all, you're feeling any heaviness or pressure, or you're just feeling off and unstable, it's probably a good idea to get a good program on board before you start jumping into high intensity moves like running or impact activities. So with that being said, here are some of my benchmarks and kind of check boxes that I like to go through, that I work with my patients more closely, looking at asymmetries. Maybe side to side things aren't looking even, or maybe during an exercise our movement pattern is breaking down a little bit, even if we can do the exercise. So again, if you're unsure, get in with me so we can really dive into it. But if you're wanting to check these boxes off, these are some basic functional activity things that you should be able to do, again, comfortably, without pain, without pressure, without any peeing or leaking or anything like that. So first things first is, can you even walk for 30 to 45 minutes without any symptoms? Obviously, this does not mean week 1 or 2 after delivery that you're going on a 30 to 45 minute walk. No, that first walk should also be like 5 minutes, maybe even less, just to the end of your street and back, depending on how long your street is, because you really want to honor your body in those early healing stages. Those first couple weeks, we can also tend to do too much. So take it easy. But once you're starting to think, hey, I want to get back into running, I want to increase my activity, first go through these check boxes. So can you walk 30 to 45 minutes symptom free? The next one is, how is your single leg balance? Is it even side to side? Can we do some dynamic single leg balances? Like one of my favorite single leg balance and strength tests that I like to do is single leg calf raises, because think about it, that's what you're doing every time you're running. You're on one foot and your calf is propelling you. You need that stability. And if you don't have it, then the chain starts to collapse and you're just kind of creating a controlled moment of falling till your other foot hits the ground, instead of an intentional propulsion moment off of the ground. And so single leg balance, single leg calf raises, I think you should be able to do over 25 single leg calf raises, and ideally not holding on to anything, because again, we need the stability and balance. But you can work on these separately at first, right? Maybe you're working on balance on one foot, eyes are open, you're just standing there. And then maybe you're also holding onto a doorway, working on your single leg calf strength, trying to build the strength on one foot. But then you also want to combine those and start working on, can I balance and do calf raises on one leg? Because that is where the magic happens, because we're bringing it all together, which overlaps more into the running form. But then from there, I also want to see, can we do a single leg squat? And this is not a pistol squat where the leg is in front of you. This is behind. So can we just balance on one foot and squat down? Can we get out of a chair on one foot? So a sit to stand with one foot. Again, does it feel even side to side, or does one side feel weaker and more unstable? If so, work on that side. Again, getting in and out of a chair on one foot. This helps build that stability and control, and also looking at the mechanics of it. So yes, we're not just sitting up and down on one foot. We are also engaging our arch, making sure your knee is in alignment, engaging your core, looking at your breath. So again, even just going through these check boxes, you might still be missing some of those deep inner connections and motor control patterns that you would get working with somebody. So if you feel like you don't get a grasp of what that is, that's when it's time to reach out. But some single leg exercises are crucial, and the 3 single leg exercises I really like to screen are the single leg calf raise, also the single leg squat or sit to stand, and then the other one is a single leg bridge or hip thrust. If I could add in a 4th one, which I also look at this one quite often, is a single leg deadlift. Do we have the control and stability on one foot to hinge fully over one leg? But we also want to see the full trunk control of a single leg bridge. So we can say 4 single leg exercises that I think are really helpful for screening before running. But aside from the single leg, we also want to look at impact. So what about jump squats, hopping? What does that look like? Does it hurt? Are we having any symptoms? Are our knees caving in? Are we feeling any heaviness? Are we breathing? So bringing some impact. Maybe you're even just hopping in place. Maybe you're speeding up the hops. Maybe you're spreading your feet out and bringing them back in. So you're going in and out as you're hopping around. Maybe you're on a little rebounding trampoline doing gentle hopping and absorbing that shock. But again, we really need to make sure that through all of these activities, activities and benchmarks, that we also can engage our brace, that we're breathing through that we can feel the breath and that core pelvic floor control. Because even if you're going through all of those movements and checking the box, if you're holding your breath, if you're not bracing well, if you're not optimizing the breath and pelvic floor control through it, then you're also still missing it. But with that being said, aside from these benchmarks of activity and exercise movement patterns that I think are great to keep an eye on, here is another nice way to start implementing that progression into running. Because I do have a lot of women that they just want to get back to running so bad. And I will tell you that a lot of times we're not even attempting this until closer to 4 months postpartum. So I just want to give you a reality check here, runners. It's not at the 6-week mark. It might not even be at the 12-week mark. Sometimes we need to wait till we're getting closer to 18 to 20 weeks for that stability, that strength, the impact, the motor control, for all of those pieces to come together. Because maybe at 12 weeks, you can do all of those exercise moves I just listed. So you decide to go run again. But this is when the leaking shows up, the prolapse shows up. Then you come in to see me, because again, this is the story I hear way too often, is I was doing pretty good, but then postpartum I started running again. And I go, so when did you start running again? And they're like, I waited till I got cleared. So I don't know, it was probably like week 8 or 10. And I cringe. I can't help but like, ugh, at my face, because this is too early. Like, your tissues are still healing. And if you go put impact on them, even if you're feeling strong, you might stretch fascia out to a point where they can't come back. So we need to make sure that not only are those check boxes marked off, but also, is that inner work happening during those check boxes? Are we bracing well? Are we breathing well? Are we pressurizing our system well under effort? Is our pelvic floor lifting on our exhale? Is our alignment coming together? So it does become a lot more into the nitty gritty. So if you try these things and you're still having issues, please reach out, because I hate for the women to come in after they've been trying things on their own and they cause issues. And now we have to work against time and against other issues to get you back where you could have just come in earlier, could have missed all of those other things happening. And yeah, it might have been a little slower, but as you get in, none of those issues show up. And when you're fully running, everything feels good and you can progress easily, and then it's less frustrating, okay? But with that being said, we also, once we clear those things, don't want to just say, okay, go run, right? We're not just going to like go run a mile. We want to phase into it. So we first want to think about this like walk-run interval. So this is where I would say run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes, run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes, and gradually build up. Also keep an eye on the terrain. Are we doing this on a flat surface? Are we doing this on inclines, declines? Are we doing this midday when it's hot? Like, look at the overall capacity of your system as well. Don't do it at the end of the day after you've also cleaned your house all day and been up and moving, because then you might get into this and see some of those boundaries of pain or pressure or leaking and feel like, oh, I can't do it. Whereas maybe if you tried it earlier in the day, you would have been okay. So start with a little interval. Maybe it's even 30 seconds run, 60-second walk, and just slowly build that up where maybe you're doing a 2-minute run, 2-minute walk, and then it gets to be a 3-minute run, 1-minute walk, right? You're getting the idea of it. But you want to just give your body some interval space with walking and running and gradually build up. Keep an eye on the overall time as well, so that you know, how did you do? How did you recover? How did it feel? Did it feel good? Cool. Then you can progress a little or stay at that level for a little bit. Did it suck? Ooh, then maybe we even back it up a little bit. Some common mistakes really are too much too soon. We really can cause problems in these early stages, especially the early 12 weeks when the fascia is really healing. We can cause a lot of damage that can become really long-term and permanent in this stage. So we really want to be cautious, but we also don't want to do nothing and jump into running. So again, with coaching, with my Restore program, working one-on-one, we will give you that guidance even starting as early as week 1 postpartum, so that you know those steps and strategies, so that you're not in either of those camps, doing too much too soon or not doing enough. But the other thing is just skipping strength training, right? They're like, oh, I've stretched and I've done a little interval training and now I'm good to go. But they skipped the strength. So their core isn't strong, their glutes aren't strong, their hips aren't strong, their calves aren't strong. And then the chain starts to collapse once those heavy forces start to hit the foot coming from the ground. So strength is crucial. And in terms of strength, especially single limb stability and especially abduction strength and glute strength, these are all crucial pieces that get missed with women trying to get into running. The other thing is ignoring symptoms. A lot of these women coming into me, yeah, they have symptoms, but guess how long they've been dealing with them? Months, right? So I'm like, oh, were you leaking when you started running at 12 weeks? Yes. And did they come to see me? No. Normally they're seeing me, it's like, 6 months now. And I'm like, oh, cool. So we've had some problems for a while. And now there's compensations, and we're going to have to unlayer that before we even get to the root of the problem. So again, sooner is better. Do not ignore symptoms of pain, peeing, pressure, just feeling off in your body, feeling unstable, feeling any kind of pain, even if it's in your foot, right? Foot pain is valid. Shoulder pain is valid. We need to take that as a sign that forces are going places they're not supposed to and get some help with it. So we are not ignoring symptoms. We also are not comparing yourself to other people. And in fact, don't even compare yourself to yourself, even if you've had another baby, right? And you're like, oh, well, last time I got back at 12 weeks and I was fine. No, don't compare yourself. Each baby is different, each pregnancy, each delivery, each person. So we're not comparing. We are just slowly showing up. We're being consistent, and we're going to start getting in things that are going to build you towards that goal. And once you reach it, you'll feel so proud of yourself because you did slow and steady, right? Slow and steady wins the race. If we jump in too quick, we can cause a lot of problems. And so we really want to just step back and make sure we're getting a big picture of everything. And yes, strength does matter. I already mentioned with glutes, calves, core, single leg stability, and of course, pelvic floor. We really want to make sure we're not ignoring what the pelvic floor is doing. But obviously, this also means we're not just sitting and doing Kegels. So work with me one-on-one, get into Restore, get into my in-person, get into my workout class if you're here locally in Los Alamos, and we will start getting you back into running, and you will feel so damn good once you get into it. But returning to running is a progression, okay? We're doing it in stages. It's not just a milestone that you hit and all of a sudden you're free to go. Your body isn't behind. It simply deserves a plan. And now you know better, and so now you can do better. So again, reach out to me. My information is in the show notes below. My information for coaching, my information for Restore. Don't wait. Definitely jump in, because there's no better time than now. Even if you're pregnant and you're not postpartum yet, the sooner the better, because the stronger we can go through delivery, the stronger you're going to come out, the quicker your recovery will be. So don't wait, and definitely let me know if as you get into things you start having any issues or problems, because we don't want to ignore those symptoms. But otherwise, have fun. Go start with some of the strategies I talked to you about today. Let me know if you have any other questions, and share with a mama that you know loves to run. And let me know if you guys have anything else that you're curious about and that you want to hear on the show. Otherwise, I'll see you here next time on the Pelvic Floor Core and More Show. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you've got so many other important things going on, but I hope it was helpful and you leave here with some tools to help you in your healing journey. And I just want to ask you, if you have found this helpful, to please leave a review on iTunes. Scroll down to the bottom of my podcast page and leave that 5-star review so it can help other women see this information. And also, if you want to be a part of my community of amazing women trying to balance all the things, great tips and insight, and sharing stories and just motivating each other along the way, feel free to join my Facebook group, The Balanced Momtality Wellness and Support. I hope to see you here next time on the Balanced Momtality Podcast.